Welcome to my version of First Things First, Nick Wright's quarterback mound. The most accurate quarterback rankings out there on the internet, on TV, on radio, wherever. The most unbiased rankings you can find. But this is done very differently. I only look at it week to week, strictly just this week, nothing else. I do not care. It is not a rich tapestry. It has nothing to do with what you did last week, 2 weeks, last year. I don't care about how many MVPs you have. I don't care about how many rings you got. I don't care about any of that. And it's also not projections into the future of where I think you're going. It is strictly what did you just do. That's all that matters. That way, they can actually move. The quarterbacks can actually move. You can have a backup quarterback be at the top. You can have an elite all-time great quarterback at the bottom. It actually changes. It's way more fun that way. So that is the way that we do it here. So let's jump right into it. It's going to be a messy mountain this time around because a lot of great teams and a lot of great quarterbacks played some questionable teams, and it's just, you got to try to put it in context. Just because you had great numbers, just because you threw for 1,000,000 yards, like, so much of it matters. What did your team need from you in that moment? What were you expected? What were you dealing with? And so some of these quarterbacks, like Aaron Rodgers, didn't inherently play wrong. Baker Mayfield didn't do anything inherently wrong. He didn't play bad. He didn't play at the level of, say, a Dylan Gabriel or a Caleb Williams. But it's just the way it has to work sometimes, honestly. It just is. Even in a game that you didn't do anything inherently wrong or badly, it just is what it is. Those are the rules. I don't actually make the rules. I just try my best to follow them. But Dak Prescott, again, didn't have the best game. He wasn't the reason why they could not win, but he did not play well either. Those 2 interceptions were tough. He had 188 yards, a 61.3% completion percentage. His first real test against a great defense, and he failed. It's, that simple. Caleb Williams, again, young quarterback. I defended him so much. I'm not going to do it all here now. But just in isolation, wasn't the best game. Had a crushing interception in his own red zone at the point where I think it was 16-13. Like, the game was still in the balance. Missing throws, just a little bit disconnected from his offense. 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Again, not the best game from him. Dylan Gabriel, listen, do I think that he's playing unbelievable? Absolutely not, but he is a victim of his team. Just look at what Joe Flacco is doing right now with the Bengals. It's night and day, and yet no one thought that version of Joe Flacco still existed. He gets to the Bengals, and he is instantly having more production. So Dylan Gabriel's got to be at the bottom, but, not because I inherently think that he is just this flawed, terrible quarterback. And then Aaron Rodgers and Baker Mayfield had very similar experiences, but for 2 completely different reasons and 2 completely different outcomes. Again, I think Aaron Rodgers actually played pretty well considering the circumstances that he was given. To me, that was more about their defense being troubled. And, but also like some of his extra stats at the end, like a touchdown and some yards, was really on the back end of this game, feeling like it was already over. 2 scores, 2 2-point conversions needed. So it's a little bit harder to kind of look at it from that point. Baker Mayfield, again, I know their roster is a little bit banged up. They're going up against a pretty terrible team that really can't seemingly do much right. And again, he had 152 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, a 62.5 completion percentage. But again, I know they won and they easily won. And so again, it's not like I watch that game and say Baker Mayfield was a problem. If he was a better quarterback, he would have done. It's not. That's not the case. It's just how it unfolded for these quarterbacks right now. Now it's gonna start to get a little crazy. Mac Jones, Josh Allen. See, and Josh Allen's actually another perfect example of this. Patrick Mahomes, another perfect example of this. Joe Flacco and Jackson Dart. Listen, at the end of the day, Jackson Dart was needed more from his team. Mac Jones was needed more from his team. Joe Burrow was needed more from his team than Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. Obviously two great, obviously Josh Allen and Mahomes, great quarterbacks. Patrick Mahomes, had a good game, relatively speaking. Had those two interceptions. One wasn't really his fault necessarily. The other one, you could say it was a nice play by Lattimore. It depends on where you fall on that. It's his lower end comes from me not really expecting much out of the Washington Commanders at this point. Their defense has not been good at all. They had Marcus Mariota as their quarterback. The game was obviously never really competitive. It's just what are you really supposed to do with that? Jackson Dart literally was playing for his life in that game, losing Scatterboo, and I think he held his own in that game. Like it was a tough game against the Philadelphia Eagles, and you're watching that game, you're seeing how little he has, and you're like, I'm impressed. I'm watching him, and I'm like, that's impressed. I'm more impressed with that than someone like the Kansas City Chiefs or the Buffalo Bills leaning on a team that clearly you just need to lean on, and they're going to break. Obviously, Josh Allen in the Buffalo Bills, they needed Josh Allen even less in that game. So again, it's not like Josh Allen inherently played poorly. There wasn't much for him. There wasn't much need for him necessarily in that game, although he did obviously have a couple of rushing touchdowns. And then, listen, Flacco continues to play great. He really does. Now, again, it was against a bad team, and it was against the New York Jets. But I mean, he's still wheeling and dealing. He's still running that offense, and it's still wildly impressive, from my viewpoint, to see what he's been able to do at this age. Just being dropped on a team mid-season. It's very impressive. It really is. He's dealing with a terrible defense and a continued terrible O-line. So I think he deserves a lot of credit. And Mac Jones, listen, Mac Jones was not really the problem. I know he had, trying to see right here, what was he? Because I think he also was in a situation where it was 0 touchdowns. The 2 touchdowns and the 1 interception. I think Mac Jones continues to play really well and really solid football. Again, 2 touchdowns, the 1 interception. Some key drops there, some devastating drops that really could have had a huge impact. He was going up against an awesome defense. They could not run the ball at all. I think all in all, again, you watch that game and you should feel actually pretty impressed with Mac Jones. And, you could say that the 49ers are struggling right now and their injuries and whatnot, but Mac Jones has continued to impress me throughout the season, and I think he will be a starter in the NFL because of what he's been doing with the 49ers. Now, these quarterbacks are definitely all in very unique and interesting situations. Tua was on the brink of getting benched, right? I mean, like, people are really just kind of like, what is going on with Tua? And he steps up, 76.9% completion percentage, 205 yards, 4 touchdowns. Also going up against a great defense. I think you got to be a bit impressed for Tua and what he was able to accomplish. I mean, he was wheeling and dealing. The 4 touchdowns. He had a high passer rating, a 138.6 passer rating. Yeah, man, that was just his game against a tough defense that had made a lot of quarterbacks' lives pretty miserable for the most part. And then you have CJ Stroud again. I mean, I think CJ Stroud is such a victim of his team, of his offense, of his coaching staff and O-line. They were able to actually get him some protection, and surprise, surprise, he was only pressured 10 times. And the dude threw for 318 yards, 8.2 yards per attempt and 2 touchdowns. 30 for 39, 76.9% completion percentage on 39 pass attempts. I mean, that's pretty legit. 106.6 passer rating. Again, going up against an injured team, going up against the 49ers. Not going to be the toughest of situations there, but still also like a gotta have it win for the Houston Texans and elevated. Now, Daniel Jones and the Colts, obviously going up against a bad team. Right, that team is completely just drowning, and you get to have the benefit of Taylor and whatnot. But the reality is that even in that game, even going up against a bad team, he was flawless. I mean, 21 for 29, 72.4% completion percentage, 272 yards, 9.4 yards per attempt, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, like, he was flawless. 136 passer rating. I feel like the Daniel Jones of the NFL right now on this type of pyramid are always going to get such a bigger benefit of the doubt than, say, a Patrick Mahomes, a Josh Allen, just because of what is being asked and what has been expected. And just like, again, just like Daniel Jones was flawless. I just find that impressive considering what the situation has been and the quality of play that's been asked of him. So there's been plenty of times for the situation to be perfect for him, and yet you can still slip up and still make some mistakes. And he's not doing that, and he didn't do that this past week. And so you got to be impressed with that. Bo Nix, balling. Yes, it was against not so good defense. But Bo Nix was balling. He had the interception. Definitely was a really bad throw, bad play. But outside of that one mistake, it was pure perfection. Like everything that man did was just, the quality of throws that he was making. He should really have 5 touchdowns. And it wasn't like, I shoulda, coulda, woulda. Like, it was literally 5. I mean, he made a gorgeous throw that hit his receiver in the hands. I think it just missed his hands, and I think it ended up hitting in the face or the chest or something. Like, it was just a straight-up miss. Like, it was the most perfect pass you could make. And it would have been a 5-touchdown game that he got taken away from him, which would have led the NFL. But again, still 247 yards, 65.5% completion percentage, and a 117.4 passer rating. He was just so comfortable moving in space. He really had his legs from underneath him and was just comfortable the whole game. And it was a thing of beauty to see that offense really get going. Now we got Justin Fields. Yeah, Justin Fields. Drake May and Justin Herbert. Listen, Justin Herbert wasn't flawless, and he was going up also against a team that had been struggling, although still a great defense that really Justin Herbert and Jalen Hurts have really had the 2 best games against. The one tough interception, that happened. Can't 100% say that was on him. It was just a tough tip. But he had it. I mean, what makes it crazy to me for Justin Herbert is more the fact that he's still being pressured at such an insane rate. He was pressured 22 times, which is by far the most. And yet he still had 3 touchdowns, 227 yards, and a 72% completion percentage. Just really impressive. Considering the roster that he's dealing with, considering the O-line that he's dealing with, just pretty remarkable. It's just so impressive to me. 122.8 passer rating. You just can't go wrong with that. Now, Justin Fields, going up against a brutal defense, against a Bengals team that has Joe Flacco and is a mess. But Justin Fields, you got to be fair. I mean, he stepped up when he needed to. Wasn't the most electric, wasn't the most otherworldly game. Again, in a vacuum, if I'm watching those games, and this is where a pyramid like this is a little bit harder, because I told you I don't want to worry about what you did in the past, or, you're Mahomes, you're Aaron Rodgers, you're Dylan Gabriel. And in a vacuum, if you're watching that game and you think to yourself, well, who showed to be the better quarterback, Patrick Mahomes or Justin Fields? And you would say Patrick Mahomes, right? Undeniably, if we're just strictly looking at film and just in a single game basis. But it's what that team needed from Justin Fields, the closeness of the game. You needed him to step up, and he did. He rose to the occasion. So again, even in a vacuum, Daniel Jones played better. Baker Mayfield played better. But you still have to be impressed by the situation that he was thrown into, how that game unfolded, what his owner is saying, who he's working with, the team around him, the coaching staff. So, again, he deserves a lot of credit, which is, and he's kind of the perfect example of why I like to do the mountain this way, because it allows you now to elevate him so much more than you normally would. It gives you the freedom to be able to say, I'm putting him above Mahomes. I'm putting him above Josh Allen. Dak Prescott's been balling this entire season. Justin Fields certainly has not been, and yet now I can put them levels ahead of each other. And Drake May. I mean, listen, Drake May was out of this world, going up against an elite defense, a top defense. And he had a 75% completion percentage, 282 yards, 11.8 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns, had the 1 interception. But the man was sacked 6 times, and it did not matter. Had a 135.8 passer rating. I mean, this is a young quarterback that hasn't even played a full season. and he's getting his bell rung by Myles Garrett just all day, nonstop, and it didn't matter. He was unfazed. He was he was unshook. It was really remarkable. And some of the throws that he was making, like, again, it's not just the yards, it's not just the touchdowns, the throws that he was making and the runs. He had like 40 or 50 yards rushing as well. Just wildly impressive against a defense that had really slowed down high-powered offenses, whether it be the Packers, plenty of games. I mean, the Browns held the Bengals to 17. Got rolled by the Ravens. That was a messy game. The Packers to 10. Gave up a ton of points to the Lions. Only 21 to the Vikings, 23 to the Steelers, 6 to the Dolphins, and then 32 to the Patriots. You know, big game for Drake May. Really, really impressive. And now, the final three, we got Jalen Hurts and Tyler Huntley. He's also the perfect example of why I love to do this pyramid this way, this mountain this way. Tyler Huntley, man, like, come on. Stepping in that moment, playing for a team that absolutely desperately needs a win. They are saying, please, we need you. We need you. He made every single play that he was asked. He played like he was Lamar Jackson. I'm not getting him confused with Lamar Jackson, but he made every single big play that he needed, whether it be with his arms, whether it be with his legs, whether it be situational. I mean, he in that moment, he was elite. He was special. He was as great as you could ask a quarterback to be. It's just, he had the second highest QBR, which, again, QBR is not my favorite stat. It's a little bit of a made-up ESPN stat, but it's just really, really impressive. Again, especially considering the situation that he was thrown into. Again, 77.3% completion percentage, 17 for 22, 186 yards, 8.5 yards per touchdown, and then, of course, the rushing. It's just big. It was just big time. It's so easy for a quarterback in those situations to really struggle and to really crumble, and he just didn't. And that'll always be impressive to me. And Jalen Hurts played awesome. Jalen Hurts played great. Obviously, 4 touchdowns, 75% completion percentage. He was 15 for 20 and a 141.5 passer rating. You know, his bottom line stats weren't necessarily what made it the most impressive. You were going up against a Giants team, not the best team, but for him, he not only obviously had all the touchdowns, but he also situationally, when the game was a little bit imbalanced, he made some huge plays, specifically with his legs, especially. Like, he didn't have some game where he ran for, 70 yards or whatever, but there were 4th and 3, third and longs that he then picked up with his legs and got to have it moments at that point, early on in the game, made some huge throws, made some beautiful throws. And it was just a great game. It was a great all-around game. Again, not only statistically, but then also situationally. Could have been higher potentially if it was against a tougher team. If the score was a little bit closer, if it was a little bit tougher of a back and forth. And that now leads none other than Jordan Love. I was on the fence between who I wanted to put at the number 1, honestly. It could have been Justin Fields. Could have been Huntley. Could have been Hurts. It could have been Love. Maybe Love gets it because he was the best quarterback that I had seen the most recently. Obviously Mahomes and Marcus Mariota, but again, that game just didn't really have the oomph that, say, the Packers and the Steelers game. And Jordan Love played unbelievable. He really, really did. He made some unbelievable throws. He led the all quarterbacks this week with 360 yards, 78% completion percentage, which I think was also the highest. Yeah, so he had 78.4% completion percentage, which was number 1. 360 yards, number 1. 29 for 37 attempts, which I think he also had the most attempts. He was 4th most attempts, but Cam Ward had 38, Caleb Williams had 38, and CJ Stroud had 39. So he was obviously right there. So he threw top in the league had top in the NFL in completions, top in completion percentage, top in yards per attempt, top in touchdowns. He was, third. He had 3 touchdowns, so just one short of the top 3, who were all tied for 1: Jalen Hurts, Tua, and Bo Nix. No interceptions, and again, some of the throws that he made, 3rd and long, the one throw to Kraft, the other throw to oh man, I forget who it was now, Watson. Just really great game. 134.2 passer rating, going on the road against Pittsburgh. Listen, the Steelers do not have a great defense by any stretch of the imagination. Again, he could have been knocked for going up against a bad defense, and I think if the Steelers were clearly like a bad team, or were struggling, or didn't have a lot of momentum going into this game, then I could see Jordan Love getting a little bit of a hit there. But the whole going up against Aaron Rodgers on the road, this was a big momentum game. This game was really built up, Sunday Night Football, and I do think that Jordan Love deserves a ton of credit for being perfect. I mean, like, he was perfect. He did everything that he needed to do. I was actually most impressed with his checkdowns, which I keep saying. I said that on Sunday when I live streamed the game, and I said it, on my Monday clips. Like, it was actually his management of the game, and how he was willing to just be smart and just make smart decisions and check the ball down. But then he had 20 straight completions, which was the most since 2007 with Brett Favre. With the Packers, they scored on the first 5 possessions of the second half. Listen, he got some help. Tucker Kraft, I'm consistent with Yak, was a monster. Yak, he had 131 plus yards. Yak, so definitely a monster Yak game for him. Kraft, Yak, and Cheese, as the true Packer fans refer to it. But I mean, yeah, I think at the end of the day, you got to put him at the top. I think if he had this game maybe against another more random team, against no Aaron Rodgers, not the return of Aaron, and the first time against the Packers and whatnot, probably would have maybe had a little bit less oomph. If he had this game against, say, the 49ers or something, probably a lot less oomph. But I think at the end of the day, I had to go with Jordan Love at the top. But really, honestly, the quarterback who was under the most amount of pressure was going to be actually Tyler Huntley, considering how badly the Ravens needed him. I mean, that was the season right there to save it. And so he easily could have been at the top. And I'm like, as I'm saying this out loud, I'm like, should I have put him at the top? But he's top 3, and it is definitely not left to right. 1,000%. I should have said that at the top. It is 1,000% not left to right. I do not care about that. I do not got the time to try to organize it exactly like that. I can't do it. I'm making this video at midnight right now. So I had to wait as long as I could to let the other game and whatnot finish. At least we don't have the double header this time around. That's what made it way late. But that's my mountain. That's the way I have it right now for just this past week. Nothing to do with weeks prior. Nothing to do with the season as a whole. It is not a rich tapestry. Nothing to do with what we saw last year or the year before or the year before that. It is definitely one of the more mixed mountains right here. Again, it's like Bo Nix played great, Daniel Jones played great, CJ, and it's just like, again, in a vacuum, they played better than some of maybe like a Fields or whatnot. But I think when you put it all into context, I'm sure most people are going to be upset about having Baker down there, but probably everyone's going to be upset about Mahomes. But again, it's like, got Allen there. Don't have Jalen at top. I even have Justin Herbert, who I praised and was like, he played unbelievable. I got him under Tyler Huntley. Like, I just think doing this pyramid is a combination between what your team needed from you, who were you playing, what was your situation going into this game, not only what did your team need from you in that game, but like, what did your team need from you because of what the team needed? Because this is like, again, like the Ravens situation, like the season's about to be over. Like, we need you to rise to the occasion. Like, we need this right now. And then again, some of the other quarterbacks taking a hit, not even for necessarily something that they inherently were bad at or caused their team issues, but just because of the other quarterbacks having more of a platform to shine. So that's the way I see it. Can't wait to hear all your comments in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.